your host, Robin Vernon. Teenage pregnancy. We have all heard about it one way or another, from drama shows to parents trying to scare their kids into not fooling around with boyfriends and girlfriends, to schools attempting to teach proper sexual education. But how widespread and serious is it really? It's far more real than some may think. Beyond the TV dramas and the stories, teenage pregnancy is actually a cause for concern worldwide. According to the World Health Organization, about 16 million girls aging between 16 and 19 and about 1 million girls younger than 15 give birth every year. With such a high rate, one cannot help but wonder how this isn't a more widely discussed subject, or how much help is being offered to these young mothers who may well need it. This evening, I'm sitting with Anissa Hendy and Renisha Moya to talk about the struggles of teenage moms. Ladies, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. Hi.
So, before we dive right into it, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Well, my name is Anissa Hendy, as you just mentioned. Currently 19 years old. I made it past high school. And a single parent working a full-time job.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Renisha Moya. I'm 20 years old. Same, I already finished high school. I went to Gwen Lizaraga High School Evening Division. I have a 5-year-old daughter. That's it.
It's nice to meet you too.
Same to you.
Now, if we may start with just some context. How old were you when you got pregnant, and how many kids do you both have?
Well, I was 14 years old, and I have one 5-year-old daughter.
One 5-year-old daughter, okay.
I got pregnant at the age of 12, gave birth at 13, and I have a 5-year-old girl as well.
Okay. At those ages, tender ages, if we can be honest, what were your first reactions when you found out that you were pregnant? And aside from that, what were your family's reactions?
Well, at my age, I was very young. At that time, I didn't live with my mom. I was living with a family friend in Dangriga. I found out like a couple weeks in. I didn't tell anyone I was going to school as regular. No one suspected anything. Like 4 or 5 months into the pregnancy, that's when I told my mom, because I had a big body from a small age, so it was hard to tell. But at 4 or 5 months, I called my mom. I told her. She was very heartbroken. The next day, she came to Dangriga to see me. That's when we all sat down and discussed. And the person I was living with, she was just a handful. So she kept saying a bunch of stuff, like I should go to a children's home, or my mom should put me out, or just a whole bunch of stuff. And we ended up going to Human Services, yes, where they put me into a girls' home.
A girl's home.
Yep, I stayed there for the last 4 months of my pregnancy.
They assisted you with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Human Services dealt with everything after that.
Okay. And you?
Well, in my case, I was in second form. The June when school closed. Well, I already knew I was pregnant when I was like, when you first miss your the monthly you're supposed to see, and after that I was like, okay, something's not adding up. I missed my period. I didn't tell my mom anything. I didn't tell anyone anything. But like couple months passed by, and I used to listen to people saying like, oh, she's pregnant, and I continuously denied it because of everything. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Like, I don't know. They just looked on me and they're like,
way.
Yes. And then those times I used to live in a village.
Okay.
So when you live in village, old people always say everything.
Word travel fast.
Yes, but they used to always be like, "Oh, she pregnant." And one time, a man come and ask me, and I was like, "No, I'm not pregnant." And then he like, "You sure?" Because his stepdaughter and me used to be best friends, and I used to tell her everything. But that one thing I didn't tell her, I was pregnant, and the yes, the summer I came to Belize City because every summer I used to come by and spend summer with my grandmother. And from the day when she brought me, I was listening to her telling one of my aunt that this legal pregnant, but she don't want to tell nobody nothing. And I listened to my grandmother and I like, okay, should I go to her house or not? Because
You don't really know how that one be.
but then something tell me, okay, just go. So I came to Belize City with her, and like couple days passed by, and one day I just sit down to my aunt and I tell her, this is what happened and so and so, and then she's like, okay. She called my mom, and my mom just started to cry because I was the youngest child, and she normally monitor all of her child, but me, knowing I was the younger one, she wasn't monitoring me because she didn't know when I catch my period the first time or anything like that, and I didn't tell her. And from then, it was like a real breakdown for her. She didn't know what to do and what's not. And even though I got pregnant at a young age, my family was always there for me. My mom stick by my side through everything. If I had to go from here to there,
They
she
made
was
sure they
always
helped you out
there
and everything.
and helped me out and never judge me for what happened, because things happen in life.
That's good. I feel like that's what everyone would hope for.
Yes.
Right? Now, I know at these ages, maybe this may not have been the case, but were you on any form of contraceptives, or were you practicing safe sex?
Well, I wasn't on any form of contraceptive, but I used to be in high school, so they used to always mention those to us, but saying I was practicing it, no.
Okay. And when you say that they were saying it to you, because I know throughout my life, like whenever I spoke to girls who came from like girls' schools or anything like that, like they would say that these schools, their forms of sex ed is basically scare tactics. Like they would mention the idea of sex, or they would mention the idea of protection, sorry, or anything like that. But they wouldn't so much educate you so much as scare you, and just tell you like all the bads about it. And would you two be able to share if like that's anything that you experienced in your school where that was the kind of education that they tried to?
Well, for me, no, because I used to go to Kaya Christian Academy in Ontario, and like all the teachers that was teaching stuffs about that, they used to be open up and just make we know right off the bat, like if you don't use condom or some certain kind of contraceptive, this would be the outcome, and all the different stuffs like that they used to tell us.
So they really tried their best to educate.
And
That's
they
great.
used to have like different model of like say the vagina and penis, and show you how to put on the condom
That's
and
good.
what's not and everything.
That's good.
Yeah, in my experience, at the time I was going to, before I got pregnant, I was going to primary school down south at San Juan Bosco. I had a girlfriend, a teacher, and me and her was very close. She laid everything on the table raw. She didn't hide anything. She let you know what will happen if you don't use any type of contraceptive. My mom will let me know what will happen if you don't use any type of contraceptive. When I got pregnant, even that lady that I was living with, before I got pregnant, because she is a family friend, so we've known her for years. I grew up around her.
Okay.
She speaks to everyone raw. Nothing, she know,
But
put up
not
of
raw in
nothing.
the sense that like it's just blunt negatives or anything like that. It's more like she's just being completely honest.
Yeah, she'll be
right?
completely
Clear
honest.
and
Yeah.
honest. Like, this is what's gonna happen, not just like, oh, you're going to hell or any other nonsense.
No,
there, right? Like,
and she know I use so fancy words. Yeah, she will tell you how it is.
okay.
I feel like that should be the way you're supposed to teach someone some stuff. You can't like hide stuff, or you can't be like using big words. Like we as Belizean, you know,
We
you
know
should
everything
just be
wrong.
open up
Yeah.
and stuff, because these days, like the younger generation, just
Yeah.
wild.
Very true. That's very true. And I know that you mentioned, like, with your best friend and everything when you were younger. How did your friends react when they found out that you were pregnant?
Well, my friend, even though she, after everything, she found out the way I got pregnant, everything, she was like, okay, when your baby born, I could take her to school and what's not. Like, I will always be here for you. Like, regardless of everything, they never judged me and everything like that. It was all going good and what's not.
So in their way, they were supportive.
Yes.
That's good.
Well,
And
for
you,
me,
Anissa?
I don't really have friends. Well, back then I didn't really mingle with people much. I was going to a very small school. I had one friend. I didn't really get a reaction from her because the time that I found out I was pregnant, no one else knew. Maybe someone suspected something, but it's not like they came up to me. So the time I got pregnant, I went directly to a girl's home. So I didn't get the chance to speak to any friends.
You never had then the detectives like where Renisha had.
Yeah.
Lone Sherlock Holmes in her village. That's
No,
crazy.
I never got none of that. So I never really have a reaction from a friend.
Okay. All right. And back then, actually no, you did. You did have access to proper reproduction education. Like you had people in your corner who were clear and helpful with that, right? And so for you, it was in school. Renisha.
Also for me at home, because my mom also used to like explain everything to us and like let us know what will happen if you don't do this or that.
Okay.
Like my mom was always an open person, and up to now she's still always an open person.
Well, shout out to both your parents as well as the people Anna had like in Anna educational system, because again, I can't speak on this because not my school. Like I never really get sex ed in my school at all, right? But for years, like places where you two were, like props to them for doing such a good job in making sure that they do their best to educate you. And again, from the experiences from just the other women that I spoke with and everything, how theirs was and stuff, that's great to hear that there are some places and people here that do a great job in doing it. Do you think, sorry about that, I was just getting a little bit of feedback in there, sorry about that. Do you think that you would have acted differently if you had more education on the subject? Like, do you feel like had you known more, like if you were more attuned to not so much the sexual aspect, but life after?
Having
Like
a
how,
kid?
like the just the potential difficulties that one would have at that age. Do you feel like you would have behaved differently, like that the experience would have gone differently?
Well, to me, it is kind of. I can't really give a straight answer on that because knowing what I know now about having a kid and raising a kid, it's not easy, especially being a teenage single mom. Well, of course, I have help from my family. They're always there for me. But like having that little person of yours to make you smile and make you happy and to just always be there for you. She is the person that made me who I am today. Like, make me to decide, you know what, Anissa, stop get trouble. You have this person yourself a raise and she will look up to you now. And
The responsibility
yes.
level, you're true.
So the only thing I would say, I wish I was more prepared
Okay.
to have a child and like know what it is to raise a child back then. But I wouldn't say I would have done it differently because I love the mini me. And I actually love having her now at this age because it's like I'm young, she's young, we can do a lot of stuff together still.
Well, now that you say that, I have one question I want to pose to the two on, and then we can start with you, Anisha.
Okay.
Life after the baby. What's the experience like?
Well, life after having my child, to me it really rough at times because in my case, I have to raise a child with disability. So it kind of rough for me. But even though everything be like that, I don't give up on she. I try my best feel like be there for she. Try my best to teach she everything and what's not because at the end of the day, even though my family support me and what's not, I not always there around there. So I have to like mind she on my own. And since everything and all that, I lately the focus on the like work, taking care of my baby, make sure she have everything she need, and just save and make sure I always there for she because at the end of the day I don't have no help from her pa, but me as a mother at the inner life you live and learn and you can't give up because that'll forever be your child. You can't change the fact that you already have one on the face of the earth.
True that. We actually put one pin in that dad thing.
Yeah, have to pin it because.
For the next segment, but yeah, I get you. But I have to say that, like, just hearing on her speak about it and everything, it's nice for just moms being moms, right? And then you said you want to share a little bit more on your life.
Well,
Since the child, since the blessing.
since the child, like we just not saying not easy, none of that. And my daughter like complete copy of me. Complete copy. So then I don't ignorant, her pardon ignorant. So that like you have our attitude and if funny so it is, like one time I would scold she for something and she love ignore. She just look at you and turn her hand. And it's funny. If like it could be a serious situation and I will laugh. And then she also start laugh too. But it's fun and that was a big responsibility and it's fun at times. But I love it.
It's as real as it is.
Yes.
Nice,
and
right?
as the day goes by, you experience new stuff with your kid, learn new stuff, they learn new stuff. So just a lifetime experience.
Okay. Well, this has been a good first segment so far, I feel. Viewers, we will take a short break and return to the conversation after this break. Sorry. Feel alright? Feel good?
Yes.
Feel okay. Welcome back to the conversation. I'm Robin Vernon. Our topic this evening is the struggles of teenage moms, and I'm speaking with two young mothers who are sharing from personal experience. Ready for the second time? Ready? All right. So, how did you cope with the financial aspect of caring for a baby? Did you have any help from the daddies?
Well, in my case, coping with all that, well, let me start off by saying my financial wasn't easy, but regardless of what, my parents, my family tried their best to help me. And we used to go, well, both of us, since we, that's how we know each other, we used to go to YES, Youth Enhancement Services. From we had our babies, and it's a program that helped teenage mothers and teach them about stuffs in life. And while we were there, they gave us a chance to go back to school, and we used to go to school in Lord's Bank at the center there, and we used to do sewing classes, computer, cooking, and different classes we used to take. And one day Miss Karen came to me, Miss Karen Kane, the social worker from Youth Enhancement Services, and she was like, Renisha, would you like to go back to school? And I was like, why not? Like, even though I have a child, that wouldn't stop me from going back to school, and I always wanted to go back to school. So I was like, okay, and she was like, okay, follow the go to Gwen Lizaraga High School Evening Division, get a farm, bring it to me and fill out the information, and I did that, and she paid my school fees. I went back to school. I would then, those time I was living with my grandmother and my aunt. They helped me go to school. Sometimes I used to have to take my baby to school with me because you could take your child to school.
Oh, that's good.
And I used to take her with me most of the time when there wasn't anyone at home to take care of her.
Okay.
But even though I used to take her with me, it wasn't stopping me from getting my education. And
You took that challenge head on.
yes, I had to, because it was like a one-time opportunity, and it made me the person I am now. And it was a
And it made you more capable to care for your
yes,
child, right?
and just let me be the woman I am and know that no, you have responsibilities and this is what you need to do, and regardless of what it takes, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure my child is okay.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the baby daddy, like, I can't say that I know what a baby daddy is, because these days fathers are out there having children with women and they don't own up to their responsibility. So I don't classify that as a baby daddy, because if he would claim, say he is a baby daddy, he will take his responsibility and help take care of his child, because it takes two to raise a child. So I would just classify that as either a deadbeat father or a sperm donor.
Anissa, I imagine you feel the same way too. What are your experience?
Well, the financial support was there a lot. Like Renisha mentioned, after I gave birth, that's when I came out of children's home, like straight out of hospital, straight home. It began from there. You know, I had to go back to school. So my mom and I, I went to clinic, and that's how I found out about YES. One of the nurses mentioned about the school at Lord's Bank. So we went to the Belize City office. At that time, they had a Belize City office. We signed up, and I started school at YES, where we did the courses, as Renisha mentioned, the regular math, science, social studies, you know, all of those stuff. We graduated, I graduated from YS as the honor roll student, and when I tried to get into a regular high school, that was a tough part, because I didn't graduate from primary school, but the YES diploma like filled the space for that. So like all the high schools I was going to, they wanted to place me in first farm, and I didn't want to do that. And I tried Canaan, and they said that I will have to start from first farm if I should graduate as honor roll or one of those. So,
They required you to basically do all 4 of your years.
yep, and to me that was just a lot. So we did Gwenliz and did my years there, met a lot of positive people. Miss Kane helped me got through Gwenliz Zaraga. And my mom, of course, my sister, everyone was there. My sister doesn't live here in Belize, but she did everything that she could to help me. You call it sperm donor. Sperm donor. I can say when I gave birth, he was there for a couple months. After that,
C'est la vie.
yeah, se fue. But everything else, the financial support was there a lot, even at the children's home. Like, let's say I was to give birth and my mom wasn't on her feet to take me, then they would have been to want to put me back through school or find a family for me or something like that.
Okay. So, based on what you two have said, how would you rate the importance of having supportive family and just general support with something as
Well,
challenging as this?
sorry.
No, no problem.
In my case, I feel like you being a teenage mother, you will need a lot of support, not only from your family, but outsiders, because you can have a child at a young age and people out there judging you because you have a child at a young age, or your parents, because some parents would kick them out of the house and, don't worry about anything. But in that case, you need that support because it helps you mentally, physically, and emotionally. I could tell you in my case, because having a child at a young age, it's really hard. In that case, you need to be strong mentally, because when it comes to all those backflash in your head, like, it really rough and it makes you think a lot of stuff. So the support, you will definitely need that, and you won't need anyone to be in your life to judge you, to remind you of what they did for you or what's not. If you said you will help someone, in that case, that's from your good heart, and not to just go back and dash in their face. And
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's a lot of teenage mothers that don't have any type of support from family, from friends, from no one. They don't have any type of support. And I know that could be rough. I have a couple friends that actually don't have any support, and I can see how draining it is to them. So I can say, like, thank God I have my family full support. Not saying that they supported me to go and get pregnant, but when they found out the situation and the child is born, there's no going back. She's here, and we can't change that.
And they
So,
were there for you
yeah,
after the
everyone
fact.
was there. My mom, she stayed with me at the hospital. She at the girls' home. She would come and visit me every time she got a chance, and that's what made me came out even faster, because they saw the bond between me and my mom. Me and my mom is like this, so that's what helped me came out. She's always there. My father, when he found out about it, he was there as well. So we need that support because it's very hard, especially being a teenage mother. The age I was, you will get negativity. People will throw things in your face. They will say this about you. Even up to how big you are today, how big I am today, people will still have a lot to say. And some of them are even older than you and still have a lot to say. So you need a lot of positive people and support in your life.
And it's sad. It's really sad when you look on it from the outside person, because I know a lot of people, that have children at a young age, but regardless of you having children at a young age, they shouldn't be judging you. In life, things happen, you don't know the situation. They even have some young girls that live with their parents and forced to sleep with their stepfather, or forced to sleep with their dad, or forced to sleep with someone outside to bring in finance to the household. So you can't just go out there judging people and what's not.
That's very
because
true.
you really need the support when
Because
it comes
you really can't speak on what you don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't know your story.
And that's just how some people goes. Like, they would just watch on you and be like, oh, this one have baby at a young age. Watch how she
And
look,
they're
or this
bad.
and that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if they would know what you went through, then they wouldn't speak that type of way about
Very
you.
true. And if the one thing I know about people, they like pass judgment.
Yep.
They love
Yep.
pass judgment. So I understand that. And I'm glad to hear, though, with the amount of support that you leaders have gotten and everything. I'm truly glad to hear that. And I can only hope that people out there, young mothers out there, can have the same amount of support and guidance that you two had in your experiences. And with everything, how important do you think it is for girls and boys to have more knowledge about their bodies and sex in order to make better decisions for themselves? Like when it comes to advocating for better sex education in all schools and just typical resources and just people in general to be able to talk to young people about these things, because these are sensitive subjects, of course, but you would feel that it's important for people to be able to talk about these things despite that, right?
Well, in that case, sometimes I feel like you learning about those stuff, sometimes they come from home. Because if they don't train you or they don't emphasize about that at home, sometimes you don't, not everyone listen at school. So sometimes you would just go to school, sit back, and just like the teacher would run through whatsoever they have to run through. And you would just be like, okay, this and that happened. But I feel like it starts from home. If you have a parent that, you know, would sit down to you and tell you this is this and that's that, and the way how you should carry yourself outside. Because I watch it on just like the social media. Some girls are on social media proud about their nudes out, proud about them messing around with all type of people, and it's not something you should be proud of. Because if you had that, you know, training at home or growing up that type of respectful way, then that wouldn't be something you would do.
True.
So I feel like it all boils down at home, and even if you do have that education at school, it will be a lot more better, not only for you, but for everyone in your surrounding, because you do have friends, and if you do see your friend out there, you know, doing something they aren't supposed to be doing, you would be like, oh, you know, that's not something you should be
You could
doing,
try to
and
offer
like
guidance.
yes,
Yeah.
but
Anissa, you have anything to add?
I feel like at school, you know, they would teach it to you, like use these, how you would say it, like they won't give you it raw, they will use the proper wording for it, like so kids won't really, you know, take it serious. But to me, that like once you get that from home and you get it like raw, you are more understand when of it though. Like they say, oh, no, they go do this and that. Like they don't want to say the exact word. Like that school, they don't want to say the raw word, and you know, they got some people where I want you to be blunt with me. I will understand more if you tell me exactly where you to call from than for the beat around the bush. So at home, they have their parents were really raw, but not in like what disrespectful way, and they tell you like, you know, like, for, like, mean it in a bad way. They just to try to help you to understand, than for like just break it down into salient points for you, because you're going out there and you will learn it some other way, and you might learn it worse than how I teach you. So might as well I teach right now than if you go out there and you want to go try it.
That's very true. And in the case of like the males, let's go touch the males for a second. In the case of the males who, at these ages, or let's go be honest, any age, the males, they don't really assume much responsibility for it. They don't really have as much for risk. For the simple fact that, like, I don't really know these men, but deadbeats become deadbeats for a reason.
yeah.
Right? Because then I have a high risk, right? Do you feel that young males should have a more intense, well, when I say intense, I just mean like more attention? Then do you feel like there should be more attention geared towards teaching young males about protective sex and about using contraceptives and these kinds of things, because they have less risk, so they would technically tend to be the more careless ones
Yeah.
out of the two, right? So do you feel as women that more should be done to educate the males?
Well, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because these days, like I said, this social media thing, then that affect you affect you big in life because you feel like, oh, like for instance, some people are always up on social media and they feel like whatsoever social media bring to you, that always positivity, when in reality it's not always positivity. And when it comes to the male, like you said, because of they have lesser responsibilities, they tend to not care. In that case, I feel like it's also at home, because if you would grow up a man to be a man, and sometimes I know that sometimes male doesn't have both of their parents in their family, but even if that's the case, as a parent or as a mother or whosoever the male is with, they should let them know off the bat what's their responsibility, what will be the outcome of what if they do go out there and have unprotected sex. And they should, just like how you teach females about protecting themselves,
Precisely.
they should teach males about
I
protecting
agree.
themselves.
I agree. Anissa, you have anything?
Like, well, basically just like what Renisha they say, males don't like, they will carry the belly or, so they're not really worried about anything. But like at the end of the day, that 2 hours have to lay down on the bed. So like at least 1 hour should, we have to we have to protect ourselves if we want to do this. And the males are not worried. They're not okay, so they should educate them more. But I feel like, I don't know, like males, some males, sorry, not really aware about it. So you just left up to the female, feel like try and make sure
No.
that protection they're there before they even start doing anything. Because a lot of young male out there not key and they're not worried.
Not immature.
If you just lay down there, open your foot and not ask back and them, they want to do what they have to do.
They want to take real give, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blunt but sad, I
Yeah.
should say.
And the reality,
True. And Anissa, like, I'll ask you both, of course. But Anissa, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced as a teenage mom?
Well, the biggest challenge I faced was when I got pregnant and had to go to the girls' home. It wasn't really all my mom's decision. It was the person I lived with, and everything that was just get thrown out. No decision was being made, and I was just getting frustrated because it's like my mom came the next day after I told her. All of us was upstairs having a conversation, and the woman that I lived with at the time, she just starts saying this and saying that, and I'm telling my mom, who it is for, because she's asking me who that be papa, when this happened, where this happened. So I had to give mama all the facts and all the details, and the lady that like, no, she lied. That must have went there, I never met there, I got this, I got that. And I honestly tell mama the truth. And I don't like when I had to be honest and somebody else just to blur out stuff, and then mama not really, like, she don't know who to believe at this point. So I get frustrated, I gone downstairs, to listen to the talk, the lady just to throw a phrase, and I get up and I walk away. I'm living in Danriga. I walk like almost halfway across the town. I got to one of my friend's house, sorry. And I sit down there to talk to she. This are a grown woman with kids, but I feel very close to her. So I sit down there to talk to she. Thing got deep. My mother called look for me. They find me there. So we gone back to the house. Sorry, before I reached the house, we gone to the social worker building. But I'm right behind for part time I live. They are like within 1 week or so they will find somewhere for me. Like what children's home for I go to. But we get back to the house, the lady still is say a whole bag of thing. My mother believes she over me and not just to irritate me. So I gone back to the lady, that the social worker, and I like, you know what, I don't want to go back there because like nobody believe me. I just want to go today. So they carry me to our children's home. It was pretty rough. I was sleeping on the floor for about a week. Like they said they was going to find somewhere for me within a week. So because I had to go like right away, I was sleeping on the floor for about a week. Then I got switched to a different girls' home in Belmopan. which I actually love. You know, it was hard and difficult to be away from my family,
But it was necessary.
but yes, and the place is actually very nice. I love those people.
Okay, that actually prompts me to want to ask this. It's very important for parents to listen to their children. They're, let's be more specific. In a situation like this, two daughters looking at their parents, explaining to them what happened, it's very important for the parents to listen to their kids and not an outsider, right? Would you two say that that's at like the top of the list of most important things when it comes to sharing something like this with your family, especially your parents?
Yes, you should.
But at the time, I could tell my mom was very hurt, not knowing what to believe. She was crying. So just like a whole bunch of information coming to her, she was confused. So
It can be understandable because
yeah.
the shock of the whole thing can definitely bring up emotions, and then emotion makes you a little bit disoriented,
Yeah.
I guess
But
I should say.
even though all that, at the end of the day, you should believe your child because she's the one that went through whatsoever
That's very
she
true.
went through. No other was there
That's
to
very
witness
true.
whatsoever.
And for you,
happened.
Renisha, what was your most difficult
Well,
challenge?
My challenge was judging inappropriately because for me, I could say I did have the support from not all my family members because some of them did judge, but you know, judging inappropriately not only by your family but in public and the society in a whole. For me, yes, people will always tend to, you know, have a negative comment about anything, and you can't make the negativity of anyone impact the way how you live or impact the way how you carry yourself and raise your child. But it's a deep concept and a deep conversation when you look upon it, because you know when you're trying to do your best and people do judge you, it really tend to mess with your mental health and what's not. And that was always my problem because, you know, I used to, even though I used to live down here, and I used to always like, I would get a text from my cousin or from someone, and they would be like, oh, this one is said this about you, and that one is said this about you, and like, it really used to hurt me to make, you know, people say things what they don't know. And one time, I may get blast on Facebook about whatsoever the situation happened, the way how I had child, and I was like, I didn't want to follow up the whole situation, but I didn't see the post. One of my sister tagged me in it, and I was like, okay, I thought this person was one of my high school friends, and for that person to say whatsoever they said, it was shocking. It hurt me, but
People
you
could be
know,
nasty, huh?
yeah, and sometimes the people you trust and people you tell things to, that the one will always tend to bring you down and what's not. But when it comes to judging, that was always my problem, but it never stopped me from being who I am, or never stopped me from being the person I am. And you know, as years go by, I just like block out all negativity and focus on my child, focus on
That's good.
life in a whole, and realize that no matter what anybody say, she would always be my responsibility, and I will always have to be a mom. So I just go ahead and do the mommy duty and do what I supposed to do.
That's good. And on the subject of judging, I know one oftentimes used statement whenever people find out about things like this is that like, oh, your life don't know, you know, like
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that, on the possibility of life being fruitful still even after having a child, especially at your ages?
well, I could say, you know, that like to me, I still young and a teenager, still live my life, and they are at the age people, you know, you want to party and they live life, but I have a 5-year-old daughter. Like, I still young. By the time my daughter reached like a good age, I was still young for to enjoy my life. I still enjoy my life right now. I get my education. I could still go further in my education. I do work. Like, stop me from nothing, keep me back from anything. I still do live life as a normal teenager, just that I have a big responsibility.
Yep.
Like, change nothing.
Okay.
And like Anissa said, it doesn't change anything indeed. I feel like even though our responsibility, and you know that will always be a responsibility you need to take care of, it shouldn't stop you from, I'm not saying go out all the time, but we're young teen moms. You should still enjoy yourself and what's not, but at the end of the day, you have to still realize you have a responsibility, you have a child to take care of. You can't say that, oh, okay, payday that today. I went and I blow my money upon drinking or blow my money upon going to key or wheresoever and not buy the necessities of your child or whatsoever they would need. You need to put your mind at, okay, my child come first, sorry, and you need to buy whatsoever your child needs, save, because when it comes to children, you need to save because sometimes things tend to happen. You never know what might happen when you need money or
The
what's
variables,
not.
right? The unexpected.
Kids always need something. Like right now, mine's just to start school, and we all know school not cheap.
Yeah.
So, well, she just about to start primary school and graduate from preschool. So, I have to do all of that with help, of course, but still, it's my
It's
responsibility.
still your responsibility, yeah.
And same time, you can't put anyone in your child life. Like you can't make your child see you from this one to that one to that one. You have to, be a parent, even if you have to do it by yourself and struggle to make sure your child have whatsoever in need and you do whatsoever you have to do as the mother. You need to do that. And at the end of the day, for me, it kind of, and I say it's easy because at the end of the day, I have to take care of a child with disability. But to me, it's not hard. It's not hard for me because in my case, my baby not give trouble. She easy to deal with, but at the end of the day, same time, she the one needed child. She one need stuff, and hence the reason I work. I do my best to make sure she have whatsoever she need, even if I have to struggle, even if I have to go to work without eat. I will save my money and make sure my child
The
have
sacrifices,
whatsoever
right? The
she
sacrifices
need.
for the responsibilities.
Yes, and
While we're on the subject of like what you touched just now with regards to jumping from person to person or introducing multiple people into your lives, what would you advise other girls, other young girls who are having unprotected sex and engaging in other risky sexual behavior? What advice would you offer to them?
well, go ahead.
Well, I would just make them know that not only what belly you could catch, you could catch a lot of different stuff by being unprotected. And the other stuff very rough. I never been there, and I wouldn't never want been there. So be there. So I make sure I protect myself. Well, obviously after I have my child, but you have to protect yourself because they're not just what belly they out there. A lot of other stuff.
Yeah, and like Anissa said, that not only our belly, indeed, you never know who the carries sickness or what's not, because you might see somebody healthy and look like everything's okay with them, but you never know what that health or whatsoever. But just protect yourself and continue school. No make nobody fool on your head because these young males nowadays, yes, trust me, they
know
want
the
to
words.
anything and say anything. If they have to go up on Google and take down one quote, they go up on Google and take down a quote and send you feel good.
That funny.
And then stuff that things will mess with females' mind and they won't fall for it. Whereas this younger generation, because they fall for everything.
Yep.
And it really sad the way how females fall for everything and male take advantage of. at the end. It's
I
really
agree.
sad.
I agree. Well, viewers, we will pause for our final break and be right back with this very eye-opening conversation and enlightening, to say the least. Welcome back to the final segment of the conversation for this evening. Ladies, before we wrap up, do you have any final words for our audience? Any young girl or young mother out there just looking for some guidance or wisdom?
Well, for the young teenagers, we just they come up. I can't really say graduate high school, but just not have the lead boy out there so they swell on the head because all they want to get in on lead boy or man, they swell on the head because all they want to do, they get in your pants and then they go in. So if you want to make them get in on the pants, on the shouldn't, but just make sure on the strap up. Make sure on the know like where fit do or when not fit do. Not make them man the force enough fit do what on the want do. So on just make sure having a head pound of body and not just the like think with other stuff.
And in my case, me for the young teenage mothers, if you're already pregnant, continue the journey. It will never be easy, but in the end, it will all worth it. And for the young females that, continue finish school, focus on your education because you can't let them boy or them man out there fool on because, males will always be males and they're always try to find a way to manipulate the females. But yeah, continue be the person you are, strive for the best, and like the young teenage mothers, like I said, do your best to raise your child. At the end of the day, you don't need a man. You'll always be a mother. And a mother, most of the time, have all the responsibility. So, yeah, that's it.
All right. Anissa, Renisha, we want to thank you both for coming on here and sharing your experiences with us. We truly appreciate your openness and your honesty. Viewers, this was a deep and eye-opening conversation, to say the least. It was touching to listen to our two guests share their experiences on what it is to be young mothers here in Belize. Here's a fact, though, to add in our country. 20% of our population falls under the title of adolescent, and 11% of that 20 are girls aged 15 to 19 who have had a baby. 11% out of 20. That's an alarming amount, wouldn't you say? Do you feel we should advocate for better education on sex in our school system? That more resources, such as efforts to provide contraceptives, should be increased in an effort to assist our sexually active youths to better be able to counter this increasing statistic? Please share your thoughts down below in our comments section, and let's all try to do our part in educating our young ones in taking care of themselves and staying safe. Parents specifically. You are the first line of support for your children. Let's begin to do our best in educating our younger generation. Folks, that's our time for tonight. Remember to join us on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for new episodes of The Conversation right here on CBTV and on Colorblind's Facebook page. Good night and take care.